And here we are. Woo! Tavern Talk. We made it.
Yes. Chilling out at the waterworks with some beer on a cliff.
On
Jordan,
a cliff.
this was actually a really cool break from hitting all the tavern. Like it was a good choice to do.
It's
But
chill. It's chill.
yeah,
Set up the blanket, pass some beers out.
yeah, and just you and me together.
Talking about our woes of World
Our
of
woe.
Warcraft.
I think you want to talk about Nerub'Ar Palace and how we feel about it. So why don't you kick this off, Jordan?
To start this off with, I think this is a very comfortable raid. Like, this is kind of campy, if
Yeah.
I had to say, of any raid. But there are a couple of exclusive mechanics I really like. There is one I want to talk about, which is the green line to the right or left. You get the green line on you, and you have to move it to the opposite side of the raid. Cool new mechanic. Pretty intuitive once you watch it happen once. It is a cool mechanic. My second favorite mechanic is actually on the queen herself, on Ansarek. You have to bring the web to slow the charge down. You have to drag it, which on LFR you don't have to do this, but on every other difficulty you have to get a certain amount more. On normal, you have to get one web to slow her down and not feel the raid damage. On heroic, you have to get 2, and on mythic, you have to get 3. I am really impressed with this mechanic. I think it's too hard. I mean, you better believe I'm never doubting this on Mythic, and I know it. There's no way you could get 6 players organizing this well on an average night. But 2 of them on Heroic, I could see. So I like the balance of this fight. I like Ansarek. I do think she needs less health. And just so you know, the world first has happened, so the nerfs are incoming on all levels.
Yes.
The great nerfs are coming now. Finally, somebody has downed her, so it doesn't have to be that hard. So the nerfs are coming, which I'm excited about. And I think even in the state it's in now, and it's a buff state, it's a good raid. What are your experiences with it, Nick? How do you feel about this raid?
From what I've done from it, it has been actually really enjoyable. I know we've talked about the new mechanic they added with the line, and I think it's really good overall. I've enjoyed it. I haven't found anything, like you said, the nerfs are going to be incoming, which is true. I know it's going to happen. But no, I've loved it. Like, I think it's great so far, honestly. But I've only done the 5 of 8 really on normal. I haven't done any LFR runs. Probably should have played a lot more of it the last couple weeks, but I just haven't. So my take's a little more. My take is not as vast as yours. You've done a lot more in this sector than I have.
I think I'm a little biased towards Ansarek because you get to bounce yourself over the line. So she essentially puts a circle on the ground that you have to stand in, and then she'll put a big AoE on herself, and they'll have a big line you have to jump over. And the way you jump over it is by getting hit by this circle and bouncing over it. And it's a complicated concept. It's going to fuck up LFR for a long time, but I love it. It's so much fun to do right. It feels so good to nail. Even, let's go before that. The fight where you have all the line, they got stuck on this fight for days.
Yeah.
And Mythic, but the one where they put all the shadow lines onto you and you have to organize, you have to split the group up into 4 quadrants. And just watching people deal with the lines, it's a good raid. It's teaching people really good things. And I'm really impressed. Now, I do not expect, so let me be honest with everybody in the crowd, this was an easy raid. The way they made them last 12 days was because of DPS checks and very factual number checks is the reason why they made it last as long as it did. It was not because of raid wipe mechanics. And so the next raid is going to be very humbling. This raid is supposed to be easy to understand. It's supposed to bring everybody back. Dragonflight was great. We have the highest sub count ever. Let's make a cool, chill raid that everybody learns the mechanics. Now they're going to slap a Blackrock Foundry or a fucking Heart of Fear or a freaking Sanctum of Domination or like expansion after expansion, 2nd tier raid. Like, that's our wake-up call is coming. Like, everybody's complaining about, oh, mythics are hard. Oh, the raid, it's too difficult. There's no groups like that. We ain't there yet. It's going to get harder.
Yeah.
Like, season 2 is coming.
That's what throws me for a loop. Like, I know we're talking raid and we're not talking mythics, but Jesus Christ, the raids aren't. The mythics aren't hard. But oh my God, people.
And so something we have to keep in mind during this is there is a lot of people coming back who aren't used to things like interrupts wipe the raid. They're not used to things like that. if you miss an interrupt. Like there is, Nick, you are a very quality DPS player just because you have an amazing interrupt focus.
Thank you.
Upon your disgusting damage. Not every DPS has that.
No,
You
I
know?
know. And I've seen that happen is like it
And the truth of it is, you gotta be patient, you gotta
you
teach, you
do.
gotta look at
Well,
interrupts,
and
you
that's
gotta.
I think this goes into one of our other topics that we have for Tavern
It
Talk
does,
is
it does.
the toxicity that comes into Mythic dungeons. And like Jordan said, not everybody maybe during that Mythic they're not playing their best. Something might be going on to that person
Maybe they're trying a
personally.
new build.
Yeah, they're trying a new build. Maybe it's their first time playing that dungeon. Just because your tank, your DPS, your heals aren't performing to a level you want, and if you know a way to help them out, you don't just
Yeah.
sit there and shout at them or rage quit. Help them out because that's how we build the player base and we get a. You're going to take that
I've
person, build
this
them up in
season.
that dungeon, and they get to go do other dungeons better.
Yeah. This season alone, I have coached people on certain fights. You need to dispel this.
Yeah.
You need to interrupt this. This can't get by. And we down the boss or we down the trash pack. This season, in fact, this last week alone in Keys, I
Yep.
explained Mist of Tyr and a Scythe. I explained the maze fight to
Well,
somebody, and then
some
boom, we got through it.
some people learn effectively by reading. Like they can go read the dungeon guidebook or whatnot that we get. Be good with that. Like they can understand that. Other people need to see it, visually, and some people need to do it. I'm a doer, so
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, I go into a mythic dungeon without knowing any. I don't fucking read. I don't look it up. All right, cool. I need to do this one because I haven't done this key yet. We're going. Like
And
we're
it's
gonna
a
go
dungeon. That's the
we're
expectation.
gonna go to a 0.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
that's the expectation.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go to a 0 and not know any mechanic, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna
if you're
learn
in a
them on that
0,
0.
now mind you, if you're trying to get
I'm
into a
not gonna
5, there's
push-
a different
yeah,
talk here.
I'm not pushing any high keys with it, but I'm gonna go to the right place to learn because I know my damage output's gonna be higher than most people that are gonna be there. So it's gonna pick up that slack there, the me not knowing things, and I'm gonna pay attention while I'm doing it to be like, oh, I need to do this on this boss, or as a DPS, I need to watch this out, kind of crap. Like people need to find a way that they can learn effectively, which can be hard sometimes.
Well, and there's all kinds of interesting things you can do. Like I was an evoker, and I was looking at a Fury Warrior's damage, and I was like, dude, you just got to hit Rampage more. Just hit Rampage every time you can. Just try that this next fight. Guess what? His damage doubled. Like, that's how much it takes sometimes. Like, you can really help people in this game. We're going to move on to my hot takes in esports. That's the next subject. I think this is my favorite Arena World Cup I've seen so far. And this is a hot take because I've seen so many different comps. I've seen evokers. I've seen just healers. Let's just talk about healers. I've seen 4 different kinds of healer. I've seen everything from monk to evoker and everything, druid. My favorite part about this Arena World Cup is the diversity in the grouping. There's actually people that run, Warlock Shadow Priest. There's people that run Evoker Warrior in it. The first tank ever in the Arena World Cup was a Protection Warrior. There's just so much group. When you go to watch like the MDI or like the Arena or like the Race the World First, how many Evokers do they have? I know you guys have been watching Race the World First with me, know about the Evoker count. Yeah. Right. And now it was just so cool to see such destructive groups with classes we didn't expect. I'm so excited. There's going to be rogues. There's going to be demon hunters. There's going to be death knights. There's going to be.
Yeah. The great thing about that, though, is it shows people who are playing those classes like that they can be versatile. They can fit into these weird niches. It opens people's minds up to what the possibilities, what they can do. And it shows it, too. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. And it's showing that, a monk can cheese there's a point where you have to take the teleport over the wall. But if a monk puts his past self over the wall, he doesn't even have to take the teleport. He can just do it for free. Teleport over the line. Watching these crazy, and especially in PvP, but all kinds of crazy concepts. I am just so excited to see so many things being used. Things from the Dragon Breath, things from monks teleporting around, things from druid cycloning. All kinds of crazy exciting things are happening right now in Arena World Cup, which, to be honest with you, here's the hot take. Are you guys ready if you stuck with us this long?
I'm ready for this hot take because I don't know what it is.
PvP is more balanced than PvE. That's my hot take right now.
Why do you have this hot take? Explain it, please. Expand upon this. Tickle my brain.
Because we haven't seen the MDI yet. The MDI could prove me wrong. The Mythic Dungeon Invitational, when they actually do dungeons.
Okay.
But so far we've seen you have to run specific comps to make sure you have a certain amount of evokers, or you have a certain amount of buffs, or there is a specific team comp you have to complete PvE content on the elite level. But what we have seen in the Arena World Cup, especially in North America, less so because Echo's been dominating, less so in Europe, but especially in North America, is there's so much group disparity. There's so many different kinds of comps happening. You're watching people come up with ideas with 2 DPS they never expected.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to see that in this comp. I expected it to be another Demon Hunter Resto Druid fucking AWC, right? But no, here we are. That's my hot take. PvP is more balanced than PvE right now.
I like it.
It's a hot take. So our last topic is we're going to talk a little bit about delves. Nick, how was your experience with delves? How do you feel about them?
I have really enjoyed delves, but I will say the issue I have has been the issue of gearing, period. Where for some weird reason it is very hard to get rings or trinkets, but I've gotten a shit ton of trinkets and like no rings. I still have 2 blue rings. I don't have the quantity of delves under my belt, so to speak, in the last week or so to justify saying it, but it's just I wish Blizzard had something to where they could see the gear we needed versus the gear we were getting and maybe let us roll a little better in the background of the game to get the things we need versus the things that's just, hey, this fits your character.
Right, getting lucky, right?
Yeah, like I am dying to replace my 2 rings and waste, I believe it is. It's a pain. But there was something interesting I saw too, Jordan. I want your opinion on this. That the loot from delves is too how do I want to put it? Like
Generous?
yeah, generous is a great word. Yeah. No, it's too generous in delves right now. So, do you think that is kind of leaning how it is, or what is your opinion on it?
I guess I'll start with I have definitely capitalized on it. But yes, you can get 616 pieces from your vault for doing a delve with your buddy, right? I do think it's too easy, but I don't think it's a problem. You know?
Right. They're really good for getting gear from, and it's great. And I think the only reason why this is even up on social medias and stuff for the reason why they're too generous with the gear isn't because, they want us to only play that. I think they are doing it because it's a new thing. They want people to experience it more. So it's a carrot stick moment with it overall, which is fine.
Which is an MMO.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, all
well,
you
it's
guys,
any-
know
yeah,
what you're playing,
any
right?
any game dev in their right mind would do that. It makes total sense to me from the developer's perspective of doing the carrot stick method to get people to play it because if let's say doing that they get 60% of the player base to play it, and so now they have 60% of the player base to talk back and say, hey, we like this, we don't like this, versus if they didn't do it and they only got
Right.
10%. Well, now they only get 10% of the player base that actually really wants to play this additional to the game, so they're gonna be like, well, waste of money, we'll never do it again kind of crap. So I can understand why they're doing it. It still though is like I would like a fucking ring.
So let's look at that from a purist perspective, okay?
Yeah.
I am a player who doesn't want to play with anybody else. I don't play with any other players ever, right? And I'm working my way up through delves. And I get myself through a 7. And I get a sick 606 piece from the vault. Doesn't that sound awesome?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think they've earned it.
Oh yeah.
And
No, like yeah,
are delves a little easy for you and me who do Mythic affixes every week? Yes.
yeah.
Yes, it's easy for us. Is it great for the regular player? Yes.
Right. No, I like I'm not knocking delves in any way off this topic. I'm not. I think delves are a fantastic and amazing addition to the game. They're for people who want a level of end game content but don't want to go do mythics and raids. Perfectly
Okay, so
fine.
where do we draw the line? Do we
Right.
require top of the line players to do delves? Is that okay?
I'd rather be pushed to do mythics and raids, but that's me. Like
Right, and I think
because to me you're just like I look at the end game for a point to getting geared as a little bit of a job because I'm like, okay, I'm missing these slots, I don't have these things or not best in slot, like
and so
now
get a coffer key and do a 9. That's an option, right? Is that
Right,
a
no,
problem?
it is. Well, so okay, let's take it from you and I who hunt down best in slot items for rating
Yep.
and mythics.
For a living, yep.
Yep. So now we have to potentially hunt down three like if your gear comes from mythics, it comes from mythics. If it comes from raid, it comes from raid. Now you add a third one. Okay, now it adds in delves. Is it specifically one delve? Is it all delves? Like, is it just if I go do any bountiful delve, is that fine for it, or is it going to come out of a specific bountiful delve? Because there's pieces that come from bosses, there's pieces that
Yeah,
come from
and they have
specific
looting. They have
raids.
looting tables just the same. Yep.
Exactly. So now are we getting that complexity level, which I don't think they'd get to that level, but it adds
Well,
more for people who do want to do that higher level end game
it
content.
does because you can wait for that bountiful delve.
Well, but here's the flip
And the
side.
cool part about it
Now
is
you
you can
have
almost
to wait for that bountiful delve
uh yeah, for
versus
min-maxing, yeah.
yeah, versus okay, I know I need to go run. I can pick this piece off an LFR. This one, okay, I can do that once a week, right? Or I need to go do this mythic. Well, I'm just gonna
But that's
smack
really
that mythic.
nitpicky. Imagine
No, it
for
is.
every spec you have to decide that kind of balance. Like that's ridiculous.
It is very nitpicky. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's the right answer. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
I guess we'll see. I've seen the adversity of sets. For example, I don't like my evoker set, but I
Yeah.
absolutely love my mage set. And so there's a lot to be done with gearing in this expansion, and I guess we're not going to cover that here.
No.
Actually,
Well, and we can expand on this conversation as the expansion goes on too.
as I feel a little
'Cause
more.
Well, we're gonna see it with what happens. I don't want to force to have
You
to
don't
hunt
have
down
to
a
farm
specific
coffers
delve.
keys to go do delves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because now it's more shit I have to do for my end week when I could just go ping mythics and raids.
Well, it's all about min-max, right? Like, if you don't have the time to min-max, then don't worry about it, right?
Even with my limited time of playing WoW, I prefer to min max. So it's now we're adding in extra shit, like you said, to go hunt coffer keys down so I can open up fucking chests. So I
Well,
don't
you're
know.
getting into a time per eye level kind of battle right now, is what you're getting at.
Yeah, and it's just
And you got to be more about a time per experience battle, I think, is what you should be focused on.
No, I want top charts. That's my main focus. I want
Well, you're getting there. To be honest with you, you are one of the best loggers. As long as we take out the amount of mitigatable damage taken, as long as we take that out of it, then we're good.
Yeah, I need to work on that. I know. There's always room for improvement. It's a never-ending game.
No, I'm like the least selfish mage. If I was so selfish, I think I'd be so good. But I just interrupt my own cast and not stand and shit. I'm like, no.
I think I move too much. Sometimes I don't pay attention.
No, moving is good, especially as a melee.
Right.
As you're leading, you're leading the pool on the ground, right? Ultimately.
I
Well, we'll leave it at that. I guess, let's say my summary is, I think the delve loot is just fine where it's at.
Yeah.
Nick, how do you feel about the delve loot?
I think it's good overall. I can understand why it's going to be more plentiful right now with us having this new thing, which I think is great. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to be forced to do coffer keys.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too because my mage like can't do 8s. She does sick damage, but I can't kite 8s on my own. Like I need to
Yeah.
bring a tank. Like my mage can only do 7s because it's a mage, and that's a big problem too that we're
I
gonna
just need to
cover
bring
next episode.
I'll just bring my prot warrior or prot paladin.
That's what I'm
up.
saying. As soon
Yeah,
as
well-
somebody shows up, I'm gonna absolutely blow up.
Let's do it. Let's get it done.
No, we can. I got some coffer keys.
Yeah, well, I gotta bring her up to 80. But yeah, no, I think that pretty much wraps it up for Tavern Talk. Jordan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm ready to call it. Nick, would you send us out?
I will definitely thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Valley of Spirits. We're your hosts, Jordan and Nick. Your go-to horde players. Join us in Dornegal on the Mal'Ganis server and look up our guild, the Electric Boogaloo, for some epic adventures. Stay connected with us on social media. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or X as it is known these days, by searching the Valley of Spirits podcast. Don't miss out on an episode and follow us on Spotify or anywhere you find your podcast. Check out our YouTube for additional content not found on our podcast platforms. Until next time, may your quest be glorious and your loot be plentiful. And as always, for the horde!